Yo, 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 what's happening, everybody? How y'all doing out there? This is Scatterbrain, the Ray Bradford podcast. Of course, I am your host, Ray Bradford, and this is the bass lesson side of the podcast. Uh, uh, all things bass. We soon later gonna dig into gear, pickups, preamps, headstock, tuners. We gonna dive into all that stuff after a while, man. I want to get people on here who can talk about that. Appreciate everybody who has watched any of the first 5 or 6 episodes that came out so far. Appreciate anybody that has subscribed. I hate to do this. I know, cause I see everybody who do this when you click on their videos, and it's always, hey, before we go any further, can you like, share, and subscribe? Well, I'm begging with you. I'm pleading with you. Please like, share, and subscribe, or at the most, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Or if you don't want to subscribe to the channel, can you like the video and share it with somebody? Do two of the three things. Two of the three things. That's all I'm asking. That's what I'm asking that you do. Like I said, I want to thank everybody who has watched the video, who has commented, whether it's a good comment, bad comment, indifferent comment, all the encouragement. I want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart, because this is seriously something that I didn't think would take off as it has. It's kind of plateauing out now, so now I can feel the real temperature of it, but that's good. But it's plateauing at a good point that I can deal with, and I know how to move forward. Uh, just keep bear with me. Stuff will get better. Stuff will get better. I know somebody was saying that my logo is too big. It's covering up my head. Stuff will get better. You see, I'm trying to block off this crazy space behind me. I know you can see all that crazy stuff back there, so I'm trying to block that off now. Stuff will get better as we keep going. You know, just bear with me. But again, thank everybody who has watched, commented, shared, whatever you've done to contribute to these videos. Appreciate you. A few weeks ago, I told you one of the guys, or one of the people who have who have watched the video and subscribed to the channel, probably shared the video too. Appreciate you, brother. Brother Ray, his name is also Ray. He sent an email asking if I could do, I said we, like it's more than me, but if I could do a lesson about modes. So I'm gonna do that. But I don't want to go, because this lesson, this is a never-ending lesson in a way, because you got your major modes, what we're gonna go over today, and you got minor modes, and then in each one of those, and then it's like in each one of those you have different modes. So it's kind of, it could go on and on. It could get very tricky, because then you could start talking about stuff like superimposing modes over stuff. You know, this was all stuff that I went over when I was in the jazz program at USM. Shout out to Mr. Larry Pinella. I was about to say doctor. He's one of the few people I know that's like he's over a program, like a jazz program, or music, whatever. He's over a program at a university and doesn't have a doctorate. But when I tell you he plays amazing. He taught us well. Sometimes it didn't stick. Some stuff didn't stick, but yeah. So stuff I learned about, like stuff like superimposing modes or modal jazz. I don't know if any of y'all who's watching this video have ever heard of something like modal jazz, but a good example of modal jazz is Miles Davis. That is a modal jazz song, because it's just going between D and E flat. So it's going between D Dorian and E flat Dorian. So that's a good way to get into modal playing if you wanted to, because it's just, the song is built around those two modes, at least soloing wise. And for bass players, it teaches you how to walk with a D Dorian scale, right? So you got modal jazz, you got superimposing modes, you just got a lot of ways that you could go with modes. But today I want to strictly talk about the concept of modes from my lens, from what I took from, like I like to say, this is not the academia way. This is not a university approved curriculum. This is not a public school approved curriculum, private school approved curriculum. This is Ray Bradford's lessons, his scatterbrain based lessons, approved curriculum. So if you hear you going off of what I believe these modes are, now my beliefs are intertwined with like the academia way and the I hate to say it is, but the street way. But the street way is how it's always been passed down from all the masters. And when you say masters of music, I don't just mean like a John Coltrane. You know how many people were probably John Coltrane in small cities that nobody ever heard of in the masses. People in that small city and surrounding areas probably know of this giant, this killer, but as far as the masses, they don't know. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure you can see the bass. You can see the bass. Excuse me. That was trying. Again. I tell you all the time. One man team right here, man. One man team. So I'm trying to look in the camera, make sure everything is visible. But yeah, it's always been passed down from the masters to the student, and then the student become a master, and he passes it down to another student. It's always been passed down. The oral skills of this music, of jazz, or just music in general, is a oral passing of the torch in senses. If you get what I'm saying. So I just want to talk about it from that perspective of the academic way mixed with the street way. Because again, before I was an academic studied musician, that don't even sound right. That don't. But before I was that, I was brought up playing in church and with my dad. My dad couldn't tell you what a Dorian scale is, but he could play guitar. He could play guitar, and my dad could play bass. I grew up playing with him and his friends, like, and none of these guys could tell you anything. They all they could tell you is what key the song in. They couldn't tell you number system. They couldn't tell you none of that. It's a blues, boy. Play in B flat. So I grew up in that. I grew up with my with a great friend, mentor, who I still get to play with till this day. We're from the same hometown. He moved to New Orleans. I moved to Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg is about an hour and 45 minutes, hour and 30 minutes away from New Orleans. And we still get to play with each other till this day. DeMarcus Robinson was teaching me about drums and bass. And yeah, and I just learned in church. So I have that way before I became academic study, and I just married the two. So I'm just giving a disclaimer, a full disclaimer that some of what I may say today, and because I haven't thought this out, I prepared it. So I've prepared it because I said I want to be as I just prepared the talking points. I didn't prepare what was gonna be said, but like I know you could go in and look in a school book and say, well, that isn't what that is. This is my way of being able to use these things because all these are tools to add to your plan. They're just tools to add to your plan. Anything that we learn outside of foundational plan, outside of being able to play, if you want to play an eighth note staccato, or if you want to play it legato, if you want to play octaves, you want to play sliding octaves, alternating, whatever, outside of foundational stuff like that, everything is a tool to add to your plan. It's just something you can go in the toolbox and pull out, do it, and move on. That's all these things are. So either you take it and apply it or you don't. Oh, I hate every time I do that, man. My sinuses are draining bad. The weather is changing tremendously in Hattiesburg. It went from like 70 degrees Friday to like it's probably like 30 degrees outside, maybe 20, and it's about to snow. So my whole body is out of whack, man. I was in here trying to clear all that up before I started. Why do I keep saying we? I'm sorry. But so here we go. We're gonna jump into it. This is modes according to the Scatterbrain way. All right. So this is the first thing I want to talk about with modes. This is the easiest way. I think I said it on the last. Anytime I mention modes in the last 3 videos, I've said this, but now I'm gonna strictly focus on this. Take the names off the modes. We're gonna go over the names once we start going over the modes, but just the raw concept of modes. Just the raw concept. The raw concept. Each mode is gonna pertain from one number to that same number. So, what do I mean by that? In music, there's a such thing as called a number system. Now, you got your Nashville number system. It's a little confusing from what I've heard because I've never really experienced it because nobody around this area in Mississippi really uses that. But from what I've heard, it was kind of confusing. But then I'm sure people in other parts of the country and the world use their number system a different way. But here, this is the easiest way to describe the number system. So if you in C major, beautiful C major. If you're in beautiful C major, whoa, I can't sing at all. Lord have mercy. But here we go. It's gonna be 7 separate notes and 1 repeated note that rounds out the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Those are the 7 separate notes, and then the repeated note is C. So you have 8 notes. 8 notes. Well, 7 separate notes, and 8 is the repeated note. So can you say 8? You really just say 7? I don't know. However you want to look at that technicality. So with those names of the letter name that I just gave you, it's also a number that corresponds to that letter name. So if I said C we're in the key of C major, what would C be? 1. What would D be? 2. What would E be? 3. What would F be? 4. What would G be? 5. What would A be? 6. What would 7 be? B. That was funny. What would 7 be? B. And again, C is 8. C makes 8. Now, for chordal purposes like pianos and just when you're reading chord charts, that's going to be a whole nother lesson. Chord charts. I want to go, bass players, we need to be able to read chord charts. Need to. But when you're reading things like that, you'll see something that says C major 7 sharp 11 or G 13 or D minor 9. You see things like that. Okay, what does that mean? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, 9 would be D. If you said you rarely would see 10, but 10 would be E. 11 is F. 12 is G. 13 is A. You wouldn't see 14, but if you wanted to say what is 14? 14 is B, and then again you got C. So those are called extensions. Once it goes past 8, those numbers become extensions. That's another lesson. That's another conversation. But just so you see the numbers are a thing that happens. All right, so again, we're in the key of C major. C is 1. D is 2. 3 is E. 4 is F. 5 is G. 6 is A. 7 is B. And again, 8. is C. So now, go back to what I said. All the modes are going to be a number to a number. It's going to be a number to that octave number. It's going to be a number to the octave of that same number. So, of course, the first mode, which is called Ionian. Ionian. It's spelled Ionian. It's your normal major mode. It's going to be from 1 to 1. It's going to be from 1 to the octave higher 1. So, with that concept, if I told you what is the Dorian mode? What's the Dorian mode? Which is mode 2. What is the Dorian mode? The mode, again, these modes correspond to the major scale. So they correspond to the major scale. It's 7 notes, it's going to be 7 modes. It's 7 notes, it's going to be 7 modes in the major scale. Again, sink this in, take this in. It's going to be 7 notes, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, B. If we're in the key of C major, it's going to be 7 modes. Once you get to 8, you're repeating the same modes. You're playing the same modes over and over. You're playing those same 7. So again, that's 7 notes, 7 modes. For each note, there's a mode that corresponds with it. For each note, there's a mode that corresponds with it. All right, again, so that's 1 to 1, C to C of the scale. So you're playing the notes of the scale. So if I start on 2 of C major, I'm playing the same notes of C major scale. I'm playing the same notes of C major scale. I'm playing the same notes of C major scale, just in a different order. I'm starting on 2, but the same notes. So I'm starting on 2 and going to the octave higher, 2. That's going to be D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Check that fingering out as well. I hope y'all can see that. Look at that. Look at that finger. I'm starting with finger 1. Boom. Boom. Look at that again. So that's why when I gave the example of the Miles Davis bam, bam, of So What, bam, bam, I'm just literally playing. I'm just playing a Dorian scale. That's it. That's it. That's how easy this concept is. So I hope you've grasped where I'm going with the rest of this. But if it's from 2 to 2, then what would 3 be? 3 to 3. And that is called Phrygian. It's called your Phrygian scale. Or Phrygian mode. Then you have Lydian, which is 4 to 4. Why is why is it different names? Because it's a different sound. I wish I had a keyboard here. I took my keyboard home. But if you play the chord, if I just were to play a C major chord and then play, it just sounds different over the C. And then all this is in reference to C. We're going to go a little further in a second with the chords, but all of this is in reference to a C major triad. And when you say Lydian, the Lydian has a raised, you know what? That's another lesson on modes. So it'll be a modes part 2. Because you can take the modes and take them out of the concept of a key center. You can take that mode and take it out of the concept, and then you get to like imposing it or superimposing it and stuff. So I don't want to go too far out. I want to keep the people who are just grasping this for the first time. I want to keep it to where you can understand it. So again, that's 4/4. I'm still playing I know it sounds different from that, but I'm still basically playing a C major scale. I'm just starting on the 4th note or the 4th scale degree and playing from the 4th scale degree to the octave higher 4th scale degree, but the same notes of a C major scale. And that's it. I hope you can see that. I would give fingerings as I'm going, but it's gonna prolong the episode, and I don't want to prolong it too long. And then, of course, 5/5. And then 6/6. Well, 5 is called mixolydian. And then 6/6. I think it's called natural minor. I always miss this question in school. I always miss this question. It's natural. I just call it natural minor, but I don't think that's the right word. I think it's Aeolian. It's Aeolian, yes, and that's spelled Aeolian, or for short, I just call it the natural minor, because that's another thing. When you get into your minor scales, that's important. Remember that scale. Remember that one. And then you got scale degree 7, which is the Locrian mode. You hear it, listen, get those sounds in. 7, back to 1. Back to your Ionian mode. So again, that's Ionian, which is 1/1. Dorian, which is 2/2. 3 which is Phrygian, which is 3/3. 4, which is Lydian, which is 4/4. 5 is Mixolydian, which is 5/5. 6/6, which is gonna be your Aeolian or natural minor, and then 7 is your Locrian, and then back to your Ionian. That's the simple thing of modes. That is modes at its bare minimum. Once you can grasp that concept of it, everything else about it it's easier to comprehend. Not saying you'll remember everything else that's on top of it, but your foundation is great. If you just can wrap your head around the fact that it goes 1/1. And notice what my hand is doing. For anybody that's just listening to this, I know when I say 1/1, I mean 1 to the octave higher 1. But if you look at my hand, I'm doing a low to a high. For everybody who's watching, I'm doing low to high. So you have 1/1, 2/2, 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, 7/7, and then back to 1/1. That's the most simple way to grasp modes, and that's Ionian, Dorian. I'm saying these names in order, people. So let me start over. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. That's modes. Now, what you do with these is when it becomes tricky. So last week, me and Jeff, if you remember me and Jeff conversation, and I was telling him, I know this is where I veer off from school, and this is where I picked along of the street side of playing music. No, I'm marrying the two. I'm marrying school and the streets out here. This is where the marriage comes into place. Uh, for every note and scale degree that's played, it's a chord that corresponds with that. So if we're in the key of, we're gonna move to a different key. I have a 5-string bass. We've established that it's a 5-string bass. Take the 5th string off. Don't pay attention to the 5th string. I'm changing the key to G major so I can play the chords here. So in G major, for every note, for that scale that we're about to play, my bad on the way down. So for every note that we're gonna play, it's gonna be a chord that also goes with a triad. Let's say a triad. I don't want to say a full chord because the chords start adding the extensions and higher notes, right? So let's just say triad. So you have a G major triad, a A minor triad, a B minor triad, a C major triad, a D major triad, a E minor triad, a F sharp minor triad, which is don't supposed to be. Yep, I played that wrong. It don't supposed to be a minor triad. It's supposed to be a diminished triad. Ooh. There we go. It's hard to play that stretch. And then the G major. Boom. G major. See, I was playing C sharp. There's no C sharp in G major. So it's F sharp. It will be F sharp D. It's those 3 notes. But if you could play them in a chord format, I could do it. F sharp C, F sharp A C. Let me see how I can play it here. There we go. There we go. There we go. So just so you hear that triad, it's a diminished triad. And then back to that. There we go. My bad. I gotta work these sinuses out. But anyway, so for every triad, it's a mode that could correspond with it. But hopefully you remember me saying 1-to-1, or 2-to-2, or 3-to-3. Now let's put that in context with the triad that was played. So what? Just off of willy-nilly, just off this Richter, what do you think? Which mode do you think would correspond with this? If we're on scale degree 1, oh, yes, it's gonna be Ionian. You're just gonna play. You can play that scale over that chord. If you want to groove a bass line over that chord. I'm just playing Ionian. So say we go to an A minor triad. We're going to keep that same groove. Here we go. We're going to play 2-to-2. And that's your Dorian scale. That's your Dorian mode. If we're on B, just 3-to-3. Now we're about to go to 4. Five to 5. 66. 77. Back to 1. And it's just that. That's modes. That is modes, man. That is modes. So if I was to, if I'm in a song and I'm using the number system and somebody's saying 1, 6. So this is our bass line. And I don't know what to play. I want to spruce up my bass line, but they're giving me the number system. They're going 1, 6, 4, 2, 5. Now, that's the basis of what I'm doing. But I want to take that and I want to use the modes to spruce up my bass line. So here we go. I'm going to play, so the number system was 1, 6, 4, 2, 5. So that's going to be Ionian, Aeolian, which is natural minor, Lydian to Dorian to Mixolydian. All right, again, what is that? Uh-oh, I got a text message from my niece's school. Hey. Whoa, got 2 couple messages. That was big. One of them big. Yeah, got a message about my school. My niece's school. They don't know if they gonna cancel school and it's about to snow. Cancel it anyway. Back to it. But again, that's Ionian, Aeolian, Lydian, Dorian, Mixolydian, which is scale degree 1, scale degree 6, scale degree 4, scale degree 2, scale degree 5. Marry all of that in your head. I know that's a lot of information. And we 34 minutes in, so I'm trying to speed this up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna cut my last point off because it ties into what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to end in 45 minutes. I'm trying to end. Forgive me if I don't. But we got a little wiggle room because I went 5 minutes on the intro. So we may go 50. Bear with me. But so marry that information in your head. Marry the scale degree, and then marry that name that is also attached to it, right? That name which is attached to it. So if it's scale degree 1, Ionian. Scale degree 6, Aeolian, which is natural minor. Scale degree 4, Lydian. Scale degree 2, Dorian. Scale degree 5, Mixolydian. And I want to take those modes and I want to spruce up my bass line. What we said the bass line was? I want to do a comfortable speed, because I'm thinking on the fly, and a couple times I've done this on the fly, I've played very sharply, so I don't want to do that. I'm trying to take a comfortable speed, tempo di lerno. That's what my professor used to call it in college, Mr. Pinella. So we're gonna call it tempo di lerno. And we're gonna go 1. it sounds like I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I'm not doing nothing complicated. If you slow the video down and just watch my hands, I'm not playing the full mode on all these. I'm not playing the full mode because I just don't have enough beats to play the full mode. But I'm doing stuff to outline the mode, which is 1. Natural minor. I just left out one note of the natural minor. So of the Ionian, I left out 2 notes. I left out the second note and the 4th note. But other than that, I'm playing everything else in that scale. Now on my Lydian, I'm starting on the sharp 11, which is, and I'm just walking down to my Dorian, which is scale degree 2, and I'm starting on it. That's it. That's all. Now, you could, if you didn't want to think about it that complicated, you could just say you're just playing in G major. Just playing everything, because I didn't play a note out of G major. Every note I played is in the scale G major. But if you want to break it down, because that's just what life is, right? With everything, you have an overarching thing, and then we go in and we break it down to its lowest, you know what I'm saying? To the lowest common factor of everything. We're gonna do that. So in that case, if you wanted to do that and start breaking down what each thing is, because all I'm doing is I'm trying to outline the chords. I want to make sure I'm outlining that. So that's it. That's modes. Now, is there a more complicated version of modes? It most definitely is. If I want to start soloing, if I wanted to start doing stuff like that, it is most definitely a more complicated version of modes. But the bare essence is what we've went over today, is that modes are basically the major scale starting from one number to that same number, an octave above it. So 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5, 6 to 6, 7 to 7, back to 8. And then you put names with that. You put an Ionian, a Dorian, a Phrygian, a Lydian, a Mixolydian, a Aeolian, which is natural minor, with 7, which is Locrian, back to Ionian. And then you put a scale degree with that. Scale degree 1, scale degree 2, scale degree 3, scale degree 4, scale degree 5, scale degree 6, scale degree 7, and then back to 8. And then you add a chord or a triad. We're doing just triads right now, because you could add a 7th, you could add 9ths, you could add 11ths, you can add 13ths, and then you can alter those, and then that takes you even further. But right now we're just doing triads. So you add a triad to each one of those. You got a G major triad. So quick bumper. For scale degree 1, the triad is going to be major. For scale degree 2, the triad is going to be minor. For scale degree 3, the triad is going to be minor. For scale degree 4, the triad is major. For scale degree 5, the triad is major. For scale degree 6, the triad is minor. For scale degree 7, the triad is diminished, and you're back to 1, which will be a major triad again. This is going to help you as well. Take this in. For scale degree 1, major triad. Scale degree 2, minor triad, scale degree 3, minor triad, scale degree 4, major triad, scale degree 5, major triad, scale degree 6, minor triad, scale degree 7, diminished triad, and back to scale degree 1. So now you've got all these things to compile, and you understand the basics of mode. You you understand the ground floor of modes of modes. You just understand the ground floor of modes. So what is that? 1 to 1 is a mode. 2 to 2 is a mode. 3 to 3 is a mode. 4 to 4 is a mode. 5 to 5, 6 to 6, 7 to 7. And all you're doing is playing the same notes that you play in a C major scale, but you're just starting on 2 and going to 2. Starting on 3, going to 3. Then you can add a name to that. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, natural minor, or Aeolian or natural minor, whichever one you like to call it. I like to call it natural minor. And then 7 is Locrian, and then back to 1. And then you add a chord over there, a triad. Major, minor, scale degree 1, major, scale degree 2, minor, scale degree 3, minor, scale degree 4, major, scale degree 5, major, scale degree 6, minor, scale degree 7, diminished. And then I did both. I knocked 2 things out in 1. But yeah, now you understand the ground floor. So anytime you hear in a song, you hear somebody playing a G, you say you're in the key of G major, and they don't call out the number system. They just play a G major triad. You hear that sound. Know you can play an Ionian mode over there. And then you hear that. Because your ear is the biggest thing. You may know all this, but you have to be able to recognize this when you hear this. Then you hear that sound, which is a minor sound. You know, I can use scale degree 6. Or I can use Aeolian, natural minor mode. Then I can use Lydian. Then I hear that. I can use Dorian. And hopefully you recognize what 5 is when you hear it. That's a 5 chord. Mixolydian. I can use Mixolydian mode over that. And I'm back to this. Boom. And then it's even sweeter if the person you're on the gig with is calling numbers out to you. Because now you don't have to hear it. You just know it. You know automatically what that is, and you know what to play over it. They're saying scale degree 1, you know exactly which mode to use. When they say 6, you know exactly which mode to use. 4, 2, 5. That's it. I don't want to go any further because it would be a lot more confusing. If you have any questions at all, please hit me up. Please put them in the comment section. Email me if you have to. Hit me on social media. All the links are in the description box if you're watching this. And let me know. I'll try my best to explain it even further. Again, like, share, subscribe this video, especially if it helped you in any way, if it cleared up any mental fog about modes. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend about this channel. Tell them to subscribe. Tell them send me suggestions of what they think what they feel that I should talk about. I'm open to it. Because I know a lot, but sometimes I'm looking past what would be the best thing to talk about. So let me know. Like I always say, man, it's been another episode of Scatterbrain, the Ray Bradford podcast. Find your grandmama, find your granddaddy, find your mama, find your daddy, find your uncle, your auntie, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your niece, your nephew, your friend, your boo, your bae, your lover, whatever they is, whatever you call them. If you love them, find them, hug on them, tell them, be safe.